Good afternoon. This is Muse Beam, and I'm Bob Rixon. We're going to hear some poetry today by a lovely, conscientious poet by the name of David Cope. David Cope bases himself in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he serves as editor of a magazine called Big Scream, and also is kind of a central switchboard for many poets all over the country, where Dave tips us off to each other in the many letters he sends out. His own poetry, I don't hesitate to call it objectivist or imagist, or some of the other things that have been said about it. Ginsberg has called them like little movies, and I guess they are in a lot of ways. But Cope has been influenced by many different poets. He's an excellent translator of poetry from the Spanish. Indeed, he writes articles in Spanish for his local newspaper. This is a reading that was recorded about a year ago in Detroit. And as David is reading mostly from his book Quiet Lives, which came out about a year ago. You can find it in a bookstore. Do have a look through it. It's a really fine book of poetry put out by Humana Press. So this is Dave Cope reading his poems.
My first poem today is called On the Bridge. Roiling out of the shadow, deep green, the shores, broken trees, oil barrels, tennis shoes, old tires, torn nets, a cloudless day. Leaning over the concrete, my hands on scarred and chipped sections. Here a truck must have swerved and crashed, or a drunk saw his final second. I dream. Gigantic oaks lean across the stream as far as I can see. Beyond, the Indian mounds lie, a 1,000-year dream. Now runners are crossing the bridge, shadows, hands and feet, machines in motion. Hello, hello, hello. This is American Dream. The house was all in flames, orange billows bursting up into the sunlight. FBI agents and police were laid up behind walls, sheds, and other buildings, armed with M16s and rocket launchers. The firemen were kept back. The battle had gone on for some time when the fire exploded throughout the house. One of the bodies could be seen inside the house, loaded with ammunition belts, the bullets exploding from the heat. This is Patterson Falls in Patterson, New Jersey, which is my holy shrine. Patterson Falls. He fat, dark skin and dark hair. She, hair pinned back, olive eyes. Watch their little boy stagger through the grass. And the grandmother, heavy black peasant's costume, shawl draped about her head. Inquisitive old eyes take in the child's every move. All silent before thunder and sunshot spray. You want $1 million? Bright sunshine across the mile-wide pit, bulldozers pushing trash all day long. Broken bricks, mattress springs, old window panes, furnace pipes, tons and tons of plaster dust. Thousands of papers flash across the open land. Truckloads of burger wrappers, milk cans, bottles and old newspapers. And in a muddy rut, a child's doll, face cracked. You want $1 million? Fur coats? Diamonds? 6 months vacation each year on your own private yacht? A Mercedes? 2? Well, I can show you how to get it all. Working his board with quick figures before 15 incredulous suburbanites who'd thought they were coming to a party. Heavy exhausted rush hour dawn, blast furnace mushroom into the light. Roaring of engines where the freeway slices the hills. Roaring shouts and clanking in 10 factories, right through the walls of nearby homes. Window panes rattling, hooting in the haze, out of which children tumble on their way to school, thick fumes clinging to their clothes. Late at night, I wander out to see the moon above the apple trees. At times, the streets are almost silent, not even a train whistle in the distance. White light, in the raspberries, over the pines, in my hair. And far away, I can almost hear the river flowing still. This is a stolen bike. The big one, earring in one ear, pointed into his face. You say I stole your bike? Yeah, he stared back, hand clutching the bottle's neck. I kick your ass. I get my piece and blow you away. I'm shaking, man. You see me? He stood up, wiggling his butt around, and then brought the bottle down on the rail. Glass splashed the pavement. Their eyes and fists, tight muscles in their arms. Friends gather round to line up and take sides. This is take care of yourself. It's in quotes. Yeah, take care of yourself. Are you kidding? Do I look like the kind of guy who'd get attacked? Hands to his breast, huge belly, shining eyes. And then, as we were passing out of the park, cupping his hands to his mouth, Yaha, that's what Jesus said before they nailed him up. His big hand waving. We disappear in the crowd. This one's party talk. Over there, every day, it was life and death. My life, so boring since I came back. He leaned forward, pointing his finger at me, knowing I wasn't one of those who faced bullets. Those gooks. You wouldn't believe what they did to the American dead. His fists clenched and unclenched. I thought of the severed fingers my friend's brother had sent back in the mail. There was nothing more to say. I went in the next room. I danced with the girls. Circus performers. This circus comes to Grand Rapids every year. And one year after a great big snowstorm, we took Annie down there to see it. Pensive, she waits in the shadows as the hired hands, smelly and sweaty, pull nets under the seats nearby. Her partner goes through his routine, a burlesque of Charlie Chaplin. She waits a moment, tapping her toe, wiping her brow. He staggers toward the bleachers, and suddenly she's out in the light with him, dancing as one. This is my favorite poem I wrote last year. It's called Pines Point. It's in Manistee National Forest, about 45 minutes north of Grand Rapids. But it could be in the Yukon for all some people know. Pines Point. Tiny pink oak leaves, springtime breeze, dogwoods white bloom, rivers white foam, rafters floating down, birdsong high in a gnarled white pine. Oh, singers, lost in time. Shoshan River by day or night, mirror image, my delight, cloud or starlight, out to the sea. This Crash. This is my most heavily published poem. Alan got it into a whole bunch of places when I first wrote it in 1975, and it keeps getting more publication every few years. Crash. The cars lie, one on its side, a rear wheel still spinning, and the other upside down. The bodies are scattered across the cornfield, bent and broken on the frozen ground. 2 ambulances pull up. The attendants arrange and cover the dead. Cars pull over to the side of the road. Everyone shuffles, eager to help, hands in pockets. Okay. This is Chinese calligraphy. It's by Tang Yin, who I think was a minor official in the Ming Dynasty in China who was fired from his job for corruption. But it's in the Freer Gallery in Washington, D.C., and it's called Dreaming of Immortality in a Thatched Cottage. A man, surrounded by the immensity of trees, mountains, and sky, dreaming. And in the sky, his other self has left it all behind. Coming in here, car horns, a small boy tried to strangle a pigeon. Throngs sat in the shade, wiping their brows. Taxis slammed on their brakes. And I would leave this place? Okay, these are 3 bucolics. This is my Come to Michigan and Spend Your Money poems. Bucolics. Lake Huron's cool waters in September. Waves lick at the rocky shore. Oarboats far across the channel. And the bridge. Tiny lights strung out as in a dream among the mists. Screech owl high in the pine. Full moon floods the young forest. The fire's now a soft red glow. Why sleep when the tent flap is open? White sand at dawn, Lake Michigan. The lake almost still, a rarity. Gulls pick among the dead fish near shore. These gnarled black pines on the dunes. What storms they've been through to take such shapes. Tiny figures, people among their roots. Big dealer. Bulldoze the poplars. He wants a parking lot, and he wants the neighbor's empty lot on the other side to park more cars. He wants a variance for a trailer. He wants a shed in back, big as a house, for spare parts. He wants a road out back between the neighbors' houses. He wants to buy old Tiny's car lot on this side. He wants a fence if he can't have Tiny's lot. He's a big, red-faced man who swaggers when he walks. He looks right through you when he wants to talk. For a long time, I worked for landlords, cleaning up ghetto and tenement apartments as a second job to help pay my bills, because my regular job as a custodian doesn't pay very much. And one of the things we used to do, because he was also a real estate guy, was he would get a key to like an abandoned hotel or something, and we'd go in and see if we could get some free furniture. And this is called Abandoned Hotel. Urine, fresh in the doorway, puddles on the sidewalk. We key the lock of the abandoned hillside, looking for free furniture. Windows broken out, smashed chairs and dressers, yellowed mattresses laid on the floors, a Bible, a picture of smiling Rose, pussy sprayed on the wall 6 times, and 11 pigeons parading in the hall. The paint peels from every wall. Outside, a crone wheels a battered pram, empty. The police have an old man against a wall. This one's, I'm real hot on this baby. I wrote it about 2 months ago, and Let's see what we can do with it. Nothing but our bodies at last. Yellow chrysanthemums frozen in the snow. Delicate petals encased in ice. I dreamed. The lakes in summer, the timeless holiday, acres of cattails swallowing up tributaries, oak and willow, naked roots extending clear into the water. Children shouting and splashing near shore, infernal speedboats, thrill-seeking skiers, wakes battering the banks. I canoed away from all that to find solitude where the heron stood stock still. The snow's falling now, sheets of it raging across fields, plastering the west sides of tree trunks white. The lines of cars slow to a halt, headlights in the furious swirls. And the ambulance, red lights flashing, picks its way down the center lane amid the stalled procession. We stood on the mountain, observed Denver in the distance through the haze, and eastward half of Colorado, laid out as if we were flying. We breathed that rare air, seated on the bleached-out granite, the dog bounding up and down among the cairns, as if to call us away to more important things. A rainstorm fought its way to the summit of a nearby peak, and then slid back down. We'd have to move soon. I woke, among friends, to a cabin, the stove lit, one lantern, and through a window, the silver moonlight in the trees. We ran naked through woods and neighborhoods, across highways, laughing in the dark, secretly among thousands of sleepers in nothing but our bodies at last. This is the lake. It's Lake Michigan at Grand Haven, right near the breakwater. Clear light. Wind tears at my sleeve. The breakers rise against the shoreline ice pack, spilling in slow motion over the broken chunks pressed together. Splinters of light thrown into the air, the ice piled, rising against the concrete breakwater, the savage pull, wave after wave, lifting and crushing the ice. Thunder, glimpses of dark water in the pack, spray wafted into the air, shining, shining, shining. Oh, hot sun. Starlings line up on the fire station roof. The trucker's windows pulled down, CB chattering as he waits at the light, fingers tapping the wheel, and two lovers, arm in arm, pick their way through the melting slush, every so often stopping to kiss, hands rising into each other's hair. It's off duty. Heard a woman screaming next door. Took my mace and handcuffs. There he was, had her in a corner, shouting, "Where is it? Where is it?" Socked him upside the head, and when he turned, I nailed him with the mace. She was shaking. Had a gun in her pocket. Her goddamn hand couldn't even get to it. I said, "Honey, if you don't plan to use that thing, get rid of it before you shoot yourself." She must have been dreaming when she bought it. I handcuffed the son of a bitch. He was crying. He was begging for mercy time the cops came. I told him, "Shut your fucking mouth. Screw me out of my peacetime." That's a hard poem to read, and it's the first time I've read it to an audience. I didn't know what kind of a response I would get. The person who did the hitting with the mace and all that is like this old Mexican lady that works as off-duty, or she works as a security guard during the day. She came in and told me this story, and I thought, God, it's a great poem. I got to write it. Okay, this one's called Face Down on the Pavement. A crowd about her. "Back off," he shouted, kneeling over her. A boy, tears in his eyes, stood by. With help, she could walk. The boy followed, his hand stroking hers. Up the step, into the office, a chair. She sat down heavily, eyes unfocused, staring straight ahead. The boy stood at her side, one hand in hers and the other pushing the hair back from her face. Turning. Thin clouds over the treetops. Red dawn on the horizon. You sleep, one bare leg extended beyond the covers as I get up, scratching my head to throw my clothes on and turn the key for work. How many millions are doing this at this moment, and how many scattered across the time zones are eating lunch, taking breaks, turning the screw, loosening the locks? How many are sound asleep? I've been asked for a poem on nuclear war, disarmament. The faces, city streets, country roads, turning through quiet lives. Only sunrise and sunset certain. The crowds at Kelvinator's door, at GM and Reynolds Aluminum, each morning, red eyes, pot bellies, thick hands, lunch pails, steel-toed boots, whispers, cigarettes, fingers gesturing. The crowds at City Hall, secretaries primping before the window glass as the janitors unlock the doors. The men in suits, swaggering in with their briefcases, golf talk, cocktail chatter. Street sweepers, bums, cops, bums waking under railroad trestles and freeway overpasses. The crowds at the unemployment office, the lines at welfare. Farmers hauling in their apples and peaches and corn, decrepit pickups, still making those corners. In 10,000 cities across the globe. And still these politicians don't sit down. Still the generals swagger and the arms makers press for more. That single flash, that unimaginable heat, that moment of terror and sickness. Let's keep our love. Let's be tender with one another. The earth still turns. The days grow shorter. Hazy sun still quiets this anxious heart. Walt Whitman, would you call for hope at this hour? And I got one more. In the book, this is called February Snow, Dreams of New York. It was written to a poet friend of mine, Jimmy Ruggia. But today it's February Snow, or March Snow, Dreams of Detroit. And I have to explain to you, Detroit has very special significance to me. It was my grandfather's hometown and my father's hometown. I was born here myself, though I didn't grow up here. And so February Snow, Dreams of Detroit. When it's peaceful, the snow falls without beginning or ending. The walnut tree is the oak of my youth. Rabbits sit among the apples and corn that I brought them, eating. The roots of great trees are stirring in their February sleep. People talking on the street are dreams floating in their beds. Lamplight, silence, dust settling in a million rooms. I don't think of tomorrow's pains. The sunrise and sunset are enough, and letters delivered, scrawled by the hands of friends. Peace tonight. Peace in Detroit City. Thank you.
That was a reading by Dave Cope, recorded last year. I guess Dave's going to break and go to the bathroom, considering how much water he drank. I should add that there was a blizzard in Michigan on that evening, which would account, I think, for the unresponsiveness and generally of the audience. I've heard Dave read here on the East Coast, and the audiences are very responsive. But I am Bob Rixon, and this is Muse Beam. You can write us here at Muse Beam, WFMU, Upsala College, East Orange, New Jersey, 07019. And I thank you for tuning in.
WFMU.
Conforms to government regulations prohibiting indecent and obscene messages during daytime hours. Adult material begins at 9:15 tonight.
Hi, this is Joe Renner, and these are the Rixon tapes. Bob Rixon was a poet and broadcaster, a pioneer of freeform radio from 1981 at the FMU studios in New Jersey. He passed away on May 8th, 2014 at the age of 66. These tapes are a tribute to his work as a broadcaster and poet. Help this channel by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you very much.